Thank you, Dominic. Feminism has come to be known with multiple definitions and is illustrated in so many ways. For those of you who run from the term feminist and choose not to identify as a feminist, it's completely okay, but you might not know the true goal of what feminism is. Feminism is simply a range of political movements and ideologies fighting for not only women, but all genders in order to define and achieve equality. Lindy West writes a very opinionated article about feminism, titled, "What No One Else Will Tell You About Feminism." In the article, West claims that all people are feminist. If you acknowledge that women are people, then you're a feminist. But if you don't acknowledge that women are people, then you must hate women, and you're a bad person. Quote, "You either believe that women are people, or you don't," end quote. It is not exactly that simple. I completely disagree with Lindy West. Being a feminist myself, maybe not so hardcore as to hating men, but if you do not identify or use the term feminist, it does not make you a bad person, and it does not mean that you hate women. Feminists are part of feminism. Feminism is a huge movement that has been happening since the 19th century, and this movement is meant to better women specifically, but also to encourage and fight for gender equality. In another article titled "Trickle-Down Feminism" by Sarah Jaff, she discusses far more in depth about feminism. She points out how poorly women are treated, while many do not realize. As Dominic is going to discuss later, the wage gap between men and women is just ridiculous. Quote, "Female-dominated sectors such as retail sales, food service, and home healthcare are some of the fastest growing fields, and even in those fields, women earn less," end quote. Even at the beginning of the Great Recession in the early 2000s, women were largely affected. Although men also lost half of their jobs, men started stealing jobs that women were largely impacted in. As if it weren't enough for women to earn less in the working force, even unemployment was less for women, especially for women of color. Jaff continues to talk about women in education as well, and how the faces of today's feminist movements are largely white and well-educated. Jaff brings up some really great points in the article. One of the big problems at the beginning of feminism was that it only targeted white middle-class women, and Jaff was smart to bring up the fact that unequal employment was even worse for women of color, specifically African-American women. It is disappointing that society treats women as less or not equal to men. The fact that even unemployment was less for women is just bizarre. Although today's society has come far from those times, how far have we truly come? There are less women in science, less women in entertainment and art, politics. Almost any high-ranking job include maybe one, maybe two women in those fields. There is still some work to do when it comes to feminism, and everyone to be treated equally in not only occupations, but in society.